What's up, family? It's your man, Mark Black. We've seen time and time again how mere allegations of wrongdoing against black people have gotten us killed or charged with insane amounts of criminal charges. We've seen the pale stream media machine rev into high gear to try black people in the court of public opinion when we have merely been accused of a crime. We've seen case after case where they claim we've confessed to horrible criminal acts, claim to have DNA evidence, and after decades of imprisonment or sitting on death row, we are exonerated. We know all of this. We have seen pale people who commit heinous criminal acts against us and are never charged. Even when they are charged, we see bastards like Darren Wilson and George Zimmerman provided funds by so-called concerned citizens, i.e. pale people, to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Even when there is evidence of lying, evidence planting, and video recordings of our beatings, rapings, and murders, many times they are found not guilty. Afterwards, they may even benefit from the sale of items used to destroy us, like in the case of Zimmerman's auction of the piece of shit pistol used to murder Trayvon. We know all of this. This brings us to the soon-to-be sad case of Chanel Lewis. Our brother Chanel was recently charged with the murder of 30-year-old Karina Vetrano. According to the reports blasted out by the pale stream media, he has confessed to killing her, and there is DNA evidence linking him to the crime scene. This should be a slam dunk, right? Not so fast, family. How quickly do we forget about Homan Square in Chicago? You know, the precinct where 7,100 citizens were face to face with Chicago's worst pig scum, with less than 1% able to speak with an attorney or contact their families. These people were effectively disappeared in a manner reminiscent of the desaparecidos in Latin America. Those are only the numbers we know about. How many rough rides led to bodies being found in abandoned tenements and row houses? We can only conjecture. In places like Homan Square, black people found themselves locked into rooms with criminal scum trained to lie, beat, trick, and abuse us into admitting whatever they say we should admit. Days-long interrogations without food, water, or sleep. Days of being threatened repeatedly, many times still suffering from the physical and psychological trauma of how we were arrested in the first place. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, family. The NYPD claims that Chanel was pretty much eager to confess to Becky's murder. They claim that he gave incriminating details about her killing. Shade of the Central Park 5, anyone? They claim that they found his DNA at the crime scene. Lots of wild claims here, family. Let's go home. Just another nigga who's gonna get his just desserts from the pale people. Hang him high. Nope. You won't get out of watching this video that easy. They make a lot of claims that prima facie makes this pretty cut and dried until you start actually digging even a little bit. First of all, we already know that the NYPD isn't above a little smacky face to get people to comply with lawful orders and provide information. Is it really beyond the realms of possibility that they did the same to Chanel? Of course not. By the way, did any of you hear how he even came to be looked at as a possible suspect? Yes, family, you guessed it. The old but tried and true suspicious and nigger in our neighborhood trick. Once he was summoned for taking a piss outside in public, and twice for allegedly breaking the rules of Gateway Park, the same park where they found our poor, dead, pale woman. You see, family, he has never been arrested for any criminal activity. This in and of itself in NYC, the land of stop and frisk because nigger is an accomplishment of note. However, there were 3 criminal summons he was issued because of being outside of his home, being male, and more importantly, being black. He also started to be tracked through the 911 calls made to report these incidents. Please make sure to go to my channel archives and watch my Murder by Numbers video for more information on how the pale people use 911 to have us murdered. So currently, we can account for the confession based on the fact that they probably coerced the shit out of our brother, and we can account for his proximity to Gateway Park because, well, he lived near there. Yes, our brother lives in Brooklyn with his mother. So why would it be strange or odd for a Brooklyn resident to go to Gateway Park? Yeah, we know why. But Brother Black, that DNA though. Yes, I'll admit I had to think for about 5 minutes to come up with a possible explanation for this one. You see, without the confession, the only thing that the prosecutors have is the DNA that they claim they found at the crime scene. So let's examine it then, shall we? The NYPD claims that they found DNA evidence under Vetrano's nails, on her back, and on her cell phone. Oh shit, we're right back to where our brother is fucked again, aren't we? Not even. There's not only a reasonable scenario that accounts for this, but is a real candidate for what might actually have happened. Follow me for a second, family. Imagine Becky running through the park when she rounds a bend and Chanel is walking in the opposite direction. Boom! She runs right into him. Now, our brother isn't a big cat, but she's even lighter than the ass and she starts to go down to the ground. Now, anyone over the age of, say, 1 year old and has fallen before knows that instinctively you reach out for something to grab onto so that you don't break your whole ass to pieces. Right there is when she scratched our brother when she grabbed his arm. So now she's on the ground. As a runner, she was either holding her cell phone in her hand with earbuds in, or it was in some sort of runner's case. Well, now she and it are on the ground. Chanel, being the great guy that literally everyone who fucking knows him says that he is, reaches down, probably apologizing profusely, and helps her get up off the ground. Now, while this isn't scientific by any means, I did a test before making this video, and consistently, while pulling a woman up by the arm from the ground, you'll also reach around and put a hand on her back, easing the strain from pulling up on her arm. After picking her up, he sees her phone on the ground and, like a regular gentleman, picks it up and hands it to her. She then goes on her merry ass way, laughing like the privileged, pampered, pale cave troll she is. Now, mind you, she now has our brother DNA all over her ass, on her arm, under her nails, on her back, and cell phone from an encounter that may not have lasted any more than 10 seconds. She continues running to her date with death and leaves our brother to continue walking to a date with a judge. Please point out to me where there is any implausibility to my story, family. Please do. More importantly, tell me how hard it would be to coerce a confession out of a young man who probably did no more than admit he was in the park that day and described an encounter with Becky, giving the pigs just enough to fill in the blanks with all of the tricks at their disposal. The defense rests, my family. However, before I end this video, I have two things I would like to mention. First of all, it would surely be nice if you coons, copsuckers, and acolytes of whiteism could find a way to keep our brother's name out of your mouths. Trust me, if none of us does nothing, this boy will most likely spend many of the rest of his days behind bars. The pale people don't need you assholes carrying water for them on this one. They never really did. Secondly, remember I mentioned about Wilson and Zimmerman's legal defense funds where they got racks on racks on racks of bread to help protect their sorry asses? Well, never let it be said that Mark Black doesn't try to protect his own. This is a screenshot of my GoFundMe account. I attempted to start a fund for us to be able to contribute to assist Chanel with legal help so he isn't railroaded into prison because they're pale and they say so. It seems that when you're a pale-skinned descendant of cavemen-ass devils, you can raise as much money as you please. If you're a young nigger kid from Brooklyn, though, you can hang it up. As you see, they suspended my campaign, and this was done before I could even launch it. Family, I cannot tell you enough that it is time for us to start telling some alternative facts that benefit us. We have to be able to control the narrative and bring resources and pressure to bear whenever we feel the need. Or the only thing we'll be controlling is the roaches in the cattle cars on the way to our mass execution. I will continue to try and set up a legal defense fund for Chanel, and I would strongly encourage you all to assist this man wherever and whenever we are able. Unless you get your jollies off of watching another black man disappear. If you had a chance to see our brother's face during his perp walk, you'd quickly see what the media hasn't said. Our brother doesn't have a clue about what has happened or what is happening to him. This cannot stand. This is your man, Mark Black. Until next time, love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to my people.